As you all begin to prepare yourselves for the upcoming council session, the sun draws closer and closer to the horizon of the world's edge. After some final preparations of shining your armor and correcting those last-minute flaws in your appearance, your party sets way to the Palace of Waterdeep. With each footfall upon the cobblestone, the palace's ever-present height over its city not only serves as a marker for your destination, but also as a reminder of your failure in providing Varam the White to the Council's discretion. Minute by minute you walk together, weighed down by the silence of your friends and the possibilities of what will become of them. Some lonely minutes later, you arrive before the palace gates and begin the processing all must adhere to by the royal guards. Your persons are searched and your weapons are seized before you're permitted to enter the main body of the palace's interior. Though its rich and elegant adornments once felt inviting and warm, no such homeliness greets you as you're led back through its hallways. Conversations hush at your passing, and collections of stares follow as you do the same to the elven man guiding you to the council chambers. These preemptive moments feel like hours as scenarios play out in your heads. But as the last light of dusk flitters out through the palace's stained glass, you arrive at a set of double doors holding back your own judgment. The serviceman gives you but only a single moment to steel yourselves before flourishing the doors open to reveal your judge and jury. The Raw Silverhand looks you all over with a friendly and hopeful gaze before speaking. Talinel, Kitchit, Autumn, Kyrian. As head representative of the Council of Waterdeep, I thank each of you for presenting before our council on such short notice. And I thank each of our members the same for accommodating to meet the council's adventuring party with these similar constraints. I'm positive we each have pressing matters to attend to within each of our respective domains, so let us not waste these precious moments and discuss our previously garnered directions unto you. She opens a hefty book filled with documents and papers that the more perceptive of you could see are all related to some sort of administrative matters. You can assume these to have been collected for her as a part of a recent movement for the judiciality of the council over the Sword Coast as a whole. Please, tell us all about your recent missions to both the Sea of Moving Ice and to the Serpent Hills. And so, Talinel begins to sing your praises through cadence and rhythm, telling of the events from recent weeks. Beginning from the culmination of the last council's close, he tells of your travels up along the Sword Coast and into the Sea of Moving Ice. You searched for the infamous iceberg, Oyalvigaton, wherein there were rumors of the Drakhorn residing. He boasts of your diplomacy with the natives and how after gaining their trust, were allowed into the bellows of the berg to continue your search. But while your investigation for the Drakhorn came up fruitless, not so was your meeting of Macath the Crimson, a member of the Arcane Brotherhood who lost herself to the power of Ara Uthator the White Dragon. With your newfound sense of direction, you delve deeper into the heart of danger, combating with the White Dragon till his very last icy breath. Victoriously, you return to the city of Waterdeep, in tow with Macath the Crimson and a hyper-intelligent ice toad, aiding in your diplomacy with the Arcane Brotherhood. It was not long before you all were off again in search of Varam the White after getting personal direction from the Open Lord herself. Whispers among incoming caravans reported the White Worm Speaker traveling through the eastern regions. What this opportunity meant for you, and by proxy the initiative of this council, was that Varam the White had left the safety of the Cult of the Dragon and was out on his own for the time being. The possibility of his capture could prove invaluable should you bring him back with some capacity of his well-being. So you set off in hopes of intercepting the Worm Speaker, your travels bringing you through a teleportation circle into the basement of a tavern in Daggerford. From there, you utilize the knowledge of a woodsman to get through the misty forest and at the footsteps of the Serpent Hills. But your travels were not quite quick enough, as your target had made it to the mouth of Didarius' tomb just hours before your arrival. Talinel tells of Kyrian's unsuccessful solo attempt to rout Varam, your party's own arrival into the town, and successively into the tomb. He explains of each trial and tribulation, of the perils associated with each, and does so quite eloquently by your own standards. It's evident his eagerness to work up the sense of adventure before telling of your failure to contain the target. And as he goes through telling your passing of the divination pool and the Yuan-Ti guardsmen you trekked through, his grand story falls silent as it leads to the encounter within the Yuan-Ti chapel. Kyrian, the stomach in his throat, picks up again and begins to tell both of his own actions and the reasonings behind them. As you all were facing down hundreds of Yuan-Ti, the importance of his own mission emblazoned in his mind. He rushed forward to get within reach of the priestess and Varam, who lay unconscious at her feet. As the temperature within his bowels increased alongside the beat of his own heart, he bellowed out Varam's fiery fate, solidifying the dwarf's final resting place within the tomb of Didarius. With this remark, it's frankly evident to all of you the sense of disappointment that waves across the room. Proud leaders of the cities and factions drop their shoulders in disbelief. Some glare daggers into you. Others can't help to look up. Talinel then picks up again after Kirian's treasonous remarks, telling the rest of your events from leaving the tomb to your adventures within Didarius' mind maze, in space, and to your travels back to your home city. But unsurprisingly, it falls on uncaring ears. There is a brief respite of silence while you wait for any member of the council to speak, and it's apparent that each member is choosing their words carefully. But it is the leader of your hometown, the open lord Laral Silverhand, that breaks the silence first. Well, in light of recent events, I'll begin by saying a job well done for securing Macath the Crimson and in turn the Arcane Brotherhood to our cause. Perhaps in the future, your actions might have opened an avenue of greater communication and trust in our fight towards a common cause. However, your blatant disregard against orders makes our next steps in this matter one of difficulty for both sides.
Forget the fucking sorceress and her dragon, Silverhand. We had a perfect opportunity to get the upper hand on the cult of the dragon, and your lot couldn't sort out a measly hostage situation. I tell each of you at this table, had it been a team of dwarfs that went to that wasteland, I'd serve you that worm-speaker's hide for dinner with a bow on his arse.
I tell you, we elves were once the greatest civilization to grace Faerun, and my people are heir to that history. This insolence is but another tally against those who have strayed from their heritage. I've had my suspicions of your efficacy for such a cataclysmic event, and it is not surprising that your racial inferiority and heritage could not deliver when asked.
Everybody please settle down. Graces from Talos above. You all have lost sight of the entire picture. I agree the adventurer's actions have not settled great for what could have been, but still, there is one less villain in the cult's scheme, and we must appraise them for some effort.
Thank you, Anthar. Viewing this matter from a practical perspective is a must if we are all to come to an agreement. Obviously, there is the matter of arranging a consequence for the failure of the party, or you all were sequestered under our visage with the responsibility and privilege of adventuring for the Council of Waterdeep. However, in grand viewing of our scenario, Anthar is correct in stating that evil has been rid from the world, making this fight less complex.
On the contrary, your majesty, Varam, the dwarf, should have stood before a dwarf magistrate, where he'd have been judged under dwarven law and punished by dwarven punishments.
Irregardless of the cult leader's presence with us today, I'll bring up the case of if we can dictate these actions against us as treason. Though Kirian was not acting against any particular city or nation, my discretion is that in such a cataclysmic scenario, such an act to betray the wishes we have as a council are considered to be treasonous. Thus, the fate of the men's life is to be considered. A moment of silence hushes the murmurs across the table, and even to you, flashes of the code legal for the city pop into your head. Waterdeep Code Legal. Title 2, Crimes Against the City. Section 10, Treason. Punishment, Death. Kirian, as one at this table who is familiar with you and your party, I'm sure we're all curious as to whether your allegiance lies with us or with syndicates who aren't present here today. Under the discretion of this council, you are ordered to tell us which opposing party had hired you to assassinate Varam the White and prevent any gathering of intelligence that may have occurred with his presence here today. With an audible gulp, Kirian blazed out 4 words, Terran Hornblade of Silvery Moon. Eyes dart to the elderly wizard's chair sitting at the council table, and for a brief moment, the world seems to stand still. Sir, the implications you present by accusing me of treason will do nothing but hurt you. I can assure this council that I've never had contact nor contractual agreements with this party, much less this man specifically. Kyrian of Waterdeep, I will give you one single opportunity to revoke your statement in accusing me of these treasonous acts. I'll look towards your party while awaiting an answer from Kyrian, but he stands resolute in his accusation. Taryn Hornblade, in being accused of involvement in the assassination of Varam the White, this council has no choice other than to investigate this matter to the most thorough extent. In regards to this matter, your immediate expulsion from this council chamber is required. You are hereby forbade to leave the city limits and must remain available for any and all further questioning. Kyrian of Waterdeep, in being accused of involvement in the assassination of Varam the White, you as well will undergo a thorough investigation. With undeniable evidence of your actions, you are to be imprisoned throughout your trial and until a conviction for death or freedom has been reached. If you please, guards will escort you out to your holding chamber. 8 royal guardsmen wearing the Waterdavian crest flooded into the room, surrounding your party with the business ends of halberds and spears. A single guard moves forward, brandishing cuffs and chains to detain Kyrian, but not before Taryn Hornblade arises from his seat in a rather theatrical gusto. Please, allow me, guards captain. Expelle carcerem. Ethereal energy snaps into existence around the monk, coalescing into a complete arcane cube that surrounds him. The guardsmen jump back in surprise, and being so close to your companion, you can feel that this is a level of magic none of you have felt before. The more magically attuned among you immediately know the look of a force cage when you see one. The wizard leaves his place at the council table and stands idly by while the guardsmen collect their prisoner, being careful not to tamper with his magical barrier. As the rest of the party watches their companion being wheeled off, the air around you goes thick with anticipation of what will become of the monk's fate. The doors close, and you turn back to the firing squad in front of you. For the rest of you, I cannot emphasize enough our disappointment in keeping a handle on your companion. His actions alone have taken from our cause, a cause that does nothing but hopes to assure this world's safety from a goddess and cult aiming to destroy it. I hope the severity of that effect is not lost among you in your adventures. Open Lord Silverhand, allow me to remind you that this group has failed to regard the balance of nature before, and I have no doubt they'll continue to do so unless something is done. Delan is right. You 3 could learn something from the ideals of the Emerald Enclave. The natural order has been upset for far too long with the arrival of the cult. In being that you have failed this council to such a degree, any and all forms of granted support from this council are to be rescinded until further notice. Upon renewing this council's faith in you, this support will return at our discretion. And as a loss of my personal favor, you are to return each badge of the watch that has been granted to you. Those that are currently wearing or are attuned to the shielded brooch immediately feel the loss of its weight on your person. Across the room, clouds of mist form and condense into 4 individual trinkets. This council's favor and my own can be won back if your actions are to suffice for this loss. I assure you we all share the same goals as you, but if we cannot trust those we send out in our stead, then they are no good to the cause. Our failure would spell an end to all beautiful and honest things. That is why we must do what is ugly. Honor and tradition have served us well this far in history, and that is why we do what we do. But if you can serve to ensure our history continues, then you'll emblazon yourself within its retold stories. Information that the Harpers and I have gained will give you your next steps in the fight against Tiamat. King Melindrak of the High Forest and the Emerald Enclave have been plagued by dragon attacks within their own home kingdom. Remalia, I thank you for your concern, but the Elven Guard has had no issues since the increased patrolling. My Eldritch Knights ran out dragonkind long ago from the wood. As long as the blood waters run clean from any foreign interaction, I've ensured the safety of my people. Your Elven Majesty, I nor this council will strip you of your Feyan prowess. But you are mistaken if you believe everything to be well behind the tree line. Word from other members within the Enclave talk about attacks from green beasts in the sky, wreaking havoc on civil townsfolk. I and your only son heir, Aligarthus, have witnessed the dragon personally during our days helping those you ignore. Though the Emerald Enclave and I do not like these adventurers, a helping hand from them is needed if this threat is to leave your kingdom. Adventurers, seek out the green dragon Truth, and rid the High Forest of his presence. Bring proof to me that he is dead, and you'll have your amends for this recent failure. In restoring order to my own home, you'll have done a great service for its people. If that is to be your next destination, then I will lead you to the next after. As is known to those with insight into dragonkind, the chromatic dragons are a vicious and evil species. However, their cousins that bear a more metallic pattern are more amiable in nature. It seems that we are not alone in this fight against the cult of the dragon. However, the metallic dragons have long considered themselves a superior species to humanoids. Their might is no question, but persuasion to our cause will be needed if we are to surmount a retaliation against our enemies. A month from today, you are to travel with their representative to their meeting, meet their demands for addition, and assure a victory towards our cause. Upon your return from the High Forest, I can give you more details, but you have your month. The Open Lord looks across the room to allow for any more grievances to air before the second council session comes to a close. She prepares for her final remarks, but is interrupted by Romalia Haventree of the Harpers. Before I regret leaving you all without pertinent knowledge, I must give you a forewarning. With the adventurer's past excursion on the Serpent Hills, I alone ordered Harper agents to search for the White Dragon Mask in hopes of securing its loss from the cult. When we had discovered its location, so too did members of a more sinister organization, making it a race to secure it before falling into vile hands. I regret to say that this organization took an upper hand in a final battle. I lost many men and women to the hands of Zentarum scum, as well as possession of the White Dragon Mask. Members of this council and adventurers alike, should you discover agents such as these in your travels, root them out for every fact that they might know about the mask's location. I do not know their plans for the mask, nor do I know their allegiance for our cause. Care must be taken to not end up at the edge of their blade, for I have learned my mistake once, and will not make it again. And with that, Laurel Silverhand marks the close to the second session of the Council of Waterdeep. Aides and scribes rush to the sides of each representative, detailing every word and movement about its events. You are escorted out by guardsmen, and as you exit the city's palace, no sign of your missing friend reveals itself as you make your way out into the night,